Speaker, by passing this bill, we are telling the busybodies that always want to take CDF to court, that they want to remove CDF from the history of this country, that this bill will cure that, such that we will not have now other people who are saying CDF is unconstitutional. This is a death knell on the people that always want to subvert the activities of NG-CDF. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request that the Honorable Robert Mbui, the eminent deputy leader of the minority party, seconds. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Proceed, Honorable Mbui.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, the acting leader, because the leader of majority was not here when this motion was being moved. A motion that is, sponsored by both the majority leader and the minority leader. So, Madam Speaker, I stand to second on behalf of the minority leader this very, very important bill. Madam Speaker, it's important to first look at the history of CDF, because it has been, it has changed quite a number of times. And this is a fund that was started in 2003. And Madam Speaker, the real intention behind CDF was just to ensure that there is equitable distribution of development resources across the country, so that every far-flung corners of the country and those that are near the center would get some fair amount of money so that they could be able to develop their regions. Madam Speaker, in 2013, the CDF Act was repealed and replaced by the CDF Act of 2013. Madam Speaker, again, in 2015, the CDF Act again was repealed and then replaced by the NG-CDF Act of 2015. And the reason behind these changes, Madam Speaker, is that, one, there has been major changes in the landscape of the country, in terms of developmental needs, in terms of understanding how the program works, and how the fund could be improved so that it could be able to serve citizens even better. Madam Speaker, also, we've faced a challenge by people that have constantly gone to court to challenge this fund. And Madam Speaker, again, there's also been the new constitution of 2010. Currently, I would call it an old constitution because it's like 13 years old. But 2010 constitution also, when it came, we also had to make sure that we align the CDF Act with the constitution so that we are not against the supreme law. So, Madam Speaker, these changes have taken place over the years, and now we are still again trying to make further changes so that we can make it even better. Madam Speaker, it is important to note that changes are not necessarily bad, and every time you must also adapt to the circumstances and the situations where you are. Madam Speaker, historically, the fund of CDF has been one of the most successful funds this country has ever had. In fact, it has been a game changer. Madam Speaker, there are places when CDF started, there were absolutely no schools. And CDF put up schools. Madam Speaker, there were chiefs that had no offices. CDF put up those chiefs' offices. Madam Speaker, I can tell you that even when CDF started, because at that time, it was even dealing with issues to do with dispensaries and healthcare. Madam Speaker, there are so many dispensaries that were put up under CDF that if they were not put up then, even the county governments today would probably never have reached that level. So, Madam Speaker, this is a game changer. And, Madam Speaker, the most interesting thing to note is that CDF does not have a lot of money. Financially, every year, it's just about 100 million per constituency. But if you look at what CDF has done in all our constituencies within the counties, you will be shocked. You can hardly compare what has been done by CDF, compared between CDF and the counties. It is incredible. I do not know what magic that CDF committees do, because, Madam Speaker, we as members of Parliament are not part of CDF. In fact, one of the reasons that people have keep going to court is because they believe that members of Parliament are the ones that control CDF. Madam Speaker, members of Parliament are far removed from CDF. And, Madam Speaker, you will notice this, that one of those things that we have changed so that we make sure that members of Parliament are not involved is to ensure that we remove the oversight committee, which was chaired by a member of Parliament, which was part of what was going to oversee what was happening in CDF. Madam Speaker, that makes sure that members of parliament are no longer directly involved. But you know, Madam